Hello and welcome to More Than Mondays, a podcast for believers, by believers, to encourage, challenge, and shift our perspective as we begin this week together. Hey, Quintin, so glad you're here, my friend Q. We met in, 2017 at Free Chapel in Orange County. Sir. Man, it's such a privilege to be your friend and just, watch what the Lord's doing in your life and operate with you. And thank you so much for coming on. For those of you who don't know Quintin is an incredible man of God. He's a good friend of mine. He is a gifted musician. You can see him pretty much any and every Sunday at Free Chapel, Orange County, playing piano or singing, whichever, he's probably doing any and everything when it comes to music. Just super gifted in that, and man, just loves the Lord with his whole heart. And I'm just grateful that you chose to come on the podcast this week.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me, man. This is super dope. For everybody watching, listening, wherever you're doing, send this to everyone. Watch Cooper's podcast. Don't just watch this episode, but watch all of them. Cooper is amazing. And I actually still remember this one conversation. I asked you about like the transfiguration about Jesus or something like that, like at a young adults party. And you explained it in a way still to this day, nobody has. And I barely remember what you said, but I was like, I didn't even think about any of this. I was just thinking this is like a movie moment. But all I have to say, like Cooper, like will make you think, like, here's your box, and then here's Cooper's like just kick. It's like, yeah, here's what it really is. But the thing is, like, you do it with love, and it's like, like you want people to know and have knowledge and wisdom and grow and stuff. So
wow,
yeah, man,
wow.
Just so honored.
Wow, thanks, man. I appreciate that,
dude. Yeah, man.
Dude, that's awesome. Well, I could talk about you pretty much all day long because you're the man.
Same.
But let's talk. Man. I'm gonna let you do something that maybe is uncomfortable for you, but I'm gonna let you talk about yourself. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. What makes Q?
Oh, man. Oh gosh. I'm a simple musician type of dude. Just want to play music and bring everybody the same joy, or not bring it, but I want everybody to experience what I experience when I play or sing, or what you feel when you're with a band and everything. But yeah, man, just a musician who loves God more than anything, loves people and getting to know people better. And I love hearing stories more than anything, like people's testimonies. Like that's like a big thing for me, because it's like, oh wow, you came from this and now you're here. Like you should have been dead, or you should have been whatever, but now you're here. Like love hearing all that stuff. But yeah, man, I actually don't know how to describe me. I guess I'm a very loud but quiet individual. I'm an ambivert.
I mean, that is probably exactly how I would describe you. There's moments where you're just sitting there, mouth shut, smiling, having a great time, but not saying anything. Yeah. And then there's moments where you're sitting there loud, having a blast, smiling still, but it's just, you never know. Yeah. I mean, it's just the setting, I guess. But man, I love that. I love that about you. And humble is another way I would describe you, something that we won't bust out a whole bunch of people, but Q gets some pretty cool opportunities recording with some pretty cool people that a lot of you would know. And what a lot of you don't know is he's actually an international musician. That might have been my fault, but oh man, I had people in Peru, like 40 to 50 of them, download his single called Supermodel with Classroom 7. So still one of my favorite songs. If you go look it up, I think it's definitely on Apple Music and Spotify. So go check that out. It's a really great song. I loved it. I definitely was his publicist, his international publicist, at least when I was living in Peru.
Just spreading the word, man. Go listen to the song. It's really good, all right?
Get it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we had such a good
Oh
time.
man.
But
Yeah.
man, it's so exciting to know like you have that all these talents, all these gifts, and to honor the Lord with all of them. And with that being the case, man, I just was curious, when did you become a Christian?
Um, okay, so this is where, and I feel like a lot of people have this, but I was like raised in church. So it
Mm,
was the typical any prayer service or Wednesday night or Saturday, anything my parents had with the pastors, me and my siblings were there. Which, like, as a kid, you're like, we have to go to church again. I don't want to do this. I'm sick of
right.
this. I just want to go play with my friends or do nothing. I just want to stay home. But like raised in church all my life, but I didn't start taking my relationship seriously with God until I was 16, 17. Just
Mm,
because growing up, I saw a lot of, I say nicely, to say it nicely, it was a lot of Pharisee like behavior, whereas you
yeah.
say this, but then you do this, and it was just an unbalance. So like me, it was like a push and pull of just, all right, is this God? Is it not God? Is this legalism? Is this holiness? Because a lot of people mistake those two. It's like, no, there's nothing wrong with being holy. Jesus was holy, but he also
Yeah.
wasn't trying to shove anything down your throat or make you feel a certain type of way. He did everything in love. So for me, it was like, I just want to see Jesus in my surroundings. And I didn't see it until I actually 16, 17, I'd say, where I was like, man, I just want something real. I remember praying that prayer. I was like, God, I just need something real. Like, I
Yeah.
want to believe in you, but I need to see you, hear you, feel you for
Hmm.
myself. Like, I don't want a typical just, oh, shout out and all that. Like, I don't want that. Like,
Yeah.
I need the real thing. And I remember it was a Wednesday night service. I'll never forget it. And I don't know
Hmm.
what happened, but the spirit broke out. And it was crazy because like you grew up in those service and you see the spirit move and you're like, God, how come I don't feel nothing? How come everybody else is getting this and I'm not
Yeah.
receiving nothing? And part of it is like my heart was hardened towards God, even though I didn't think it was, but it was just, no,
Yeah.
you have a wall up. So you need to tear it down. And that a lot of people think it's this whole process of I'll have to do this for my walls to come down. It's like, no, just say, God, I surrender. Like the international sign for surrender is your hands up. Sometimes all
Yeah.
God needs you to do is just put your hands up and just sit
Wow, that's
there
really
and be
good.
like, all right, here I am, God. Just please come. I remember praying, God, I just need you. I need something real. And
Yeah.
in a moment, it was like for me, like when I know God is on me or moving, like it feels like somebody's pouring like a jug of water over my head. And
Mm,
I felt that
yeah.
and it was refreshing, but it was cooling, but it was cool, but it was warm at the same time, which was it's still trippy to this day. But I was like,
Yeah.
oh snap. And then I just started what now is like speaking in tongues and everything. And I was like, oh my gosh. And like I went out all excited, went to school the next day, just like wanted to talk to everybody about what happened. But I was like, oh, they're gonna think I'm weird. So I was like, I'll just go talk to my best friend. But yeah, man, I've been ever since 16, 17, from that on, I'm 24 now, been saved, which like to some people that could be surprising. But again, like when you grow up in church and all you see is the the I guess the pyramid chart or whatever it is of oh you have
Yeah.
to do this to be a Christian. It's like that can turn you off really fast. And sadly, a lot of people
Yeah.
have, but thank God for being patient and giving grace and saying, no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk with you and meet you where you are. And that's what he did for me. So ever since then, it's just been all in 100,000%. Just let's go.
I love that. I love that. And you're so right, because I grew up in a setting prior to moving to the last church that I just left here in Kansas City, where that was kind of the operations. Like sometimes it is hard to determine legalism versus holiness
Yeah.
in people. And then I
Mm-hmm.
think the thing that we struggle with, especially younger
Oh
and
yeah.
even immature Christians, we look at people and think like, oh, we've got to do X, Y, and Z to be like them. Like, no, no, no. Don't
Yeah.
look at people. Look at what Jesus was like. Who
Yes.
is Jesus? And let's be like him. We're
Man.
Christians. We're not,
Yeah.
I'm not a Quintin follower. I'm a
Yeah.
Christ follower. You know what I mean? And I think we
Yeah,
get so
man.
consumed, or, even as a kid, you could have easily gone, the other direction and said, you know what, I see all this legalism. I see people saying one thing and doing another, hypocrisy. I see all of this, but you chose to say, God, show me something real. And he did. And that kind of like brought you to this breaking point. And I think that kind of really just flows this reality of who we are as believers. It's like, we look too much at the people. And so when we see people that fall from grace, whether it's big name pastors that we've all seen in recent months, or, you know, our friends that led us to Christ, we're like, oh my gosh, then Christ must not be real. Well, you got your eyes on the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Like, you got your eyes on the wrong thing. So we need to shift our eyes, because our help doesn't come. It says, I look to the hills. Where does my help come from? It doesn't come from just my friends. Can my friends help me? Yes. Should I be in community? Yes. But my help actually comes from the Lord. And we just walk that out, and realizing that, it gives me such an excitement and a realization, like, to know the true life change that I've had and that you've experienced. So with that thought process and that understanding, what do you feel like it means to be a Christian? Like, how would you explain it to somebody just off the street? Like, hey man, you're a Christian. What does that even mean? You know?
I would say for me, and like, this has been my realization, which is, I wish I would have got this sooner, but for me, it's just wholeheartedly just loving people. That's it.
Yeah.
Like that, for me, that's what it all boils down to, is how did you love? How did you live your life? Did people see Christ in you? Because the mark, for me, the mark of a true Christian is how you're loving, or what fruit did you bear? And a lot of people are like, oh, well, this person's a Christian. It was like, show me the fruit. Show me the fruit. Wholeheartedly, show me the fruit. And it's not like, oh, you need to do this to mark it off. To be like, all right, they're a Christian. You can pass into the heavenly gates. But there's no, like, I should, like, my thing is, you shouldn't even need to say it. It should just be evident.
Yeah.
Like, just how with Jesus, like, anywhere he went, people knew there was something different about him. It's like, I don't know what that guy has or what he's doing, but I want that. And that's, for me, like, I've had moments where that has been the case. I remember I was in my algebra 2 class. I think that was sophomore, freshman year. It was one of those years. I don't remember. But like, I was just sitting there, and me just being me, I like, anywhere I go, I tap, or I'm singing a song like 99% of the time in my head, or I'm playing it out. And I look crazy. Like, I'll be in Costco or Sam's Club, and I'm just sitting there and like, my mom, she always says, she's like, if you weren't my son, I'd probably think you were crazy or something. But she knows that that's what I do. And all my friends, they're like, yeah, you're the only person I know who does this. But like, I was sitting there just tapping at my desk, and I was just like humming. And this girl, she was just staring at me. And I noticed it, but I didn't say anything. But she was like, she's like, are you a Christian? I was like, what? She was like, are you a Christian? I was like, yeah. She was like, I can tell. I was like, how? She was like, you just, I don't know, I can tell. I was like, okay. And then for me, like, that was weird, but it was also at the same time encouraging, to where I was like, wow, I don't even know what I'm doing, but obviously God is being seen through me, which for me, that's all I ever want. Like, don't look at me, don't look at my gifts, don't look at what I have on. If you don't see Jesus, you should, then I'm not doing something right. But it's just, for me, like, all that to say, like, when you do have that, like, there's so much love that's pouring out of you. And at that time too, I just wanted to love on people. So like, for me, it's like, how are you loving? Can somebody come to you and feel welcome, feel like they can confide in you, and it's a safe space? Like you said, like, it could be a complete stranger, but do they feel just a genuine type of, almost a real talk, almost like the Southern hospitality? Like, do they feel that? Like, do they feel welcome, to where it's like, man, I just met this dude 5 minutes ago, but I there's something on him. I don't know what it is, but he cares. He's not just hearing me, he's listening to me. Like, there's not this barrier between us. Like he do care. So for me, that's what I would say. Like being a Christian is just how, like, are you loving people? Because you could, the thing, there's that one scripture, and I gotta get way better at this, but like I know what certain scriptures say, but I don't know where they are in the Bible. Part of it's my memory. I'm like, God, you gotta help me with this because I'm really trying to remember. But there's that one passage to where it's like, if I do this but don't give what I love, then I'm just a loud clanging cymbal. And that to me is like, you could go your whole life saying you did all of this in Jesus' name. And even God said, yeah, people are gonna say, oh, we prophesied in your name and do all of this and that, but then you get to heaven, it's like, I didn't know you.
Yeah.
I didn't like there was no love, there was no relationship, there was no, we didn't have any connection. So for me, it's like I just hope my life is a life of love, and not the love of man, but the love of Christ that's unconditional, that's unwavering, that's that's reckless, that just goes beyond the human comprehension of anything. I just want to love. So
yeah. I was having a conversation last night, honestly, and that just reminded me of this conversation. It's like, we get hurt by people. We genuinely do. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, 100%.
But what I've begun to realize is, if I'm not thinking about somebody the way Jesus is thinking about them,
man,
I'm wrong.
Man,
no matter what they've done to me, no matter what they've said, no matter how bad they've treated me, if I don't see them the way that Jesus sees them, I'm wrong. And he sees them through loving eyes. He sees them through compassion. He sees them through, this reality of who he is. And the Bible says in 1 John 4:17 that we are Christ on earth when it's talking about love. Like, we have to operate in that love. And I realized, man, there's been times in my life, even recently, where I'm like, man, get out of here. See you later. And the excuse by going to Jesus and saying, when he says, go talk to that person, no, you saw what they did to me. He's going to go, I saw what you did to me, but I'm still talking to you. I'm still loving you. It's like, it's just like, oh my gosh. Literally, the Bible talks about how when we sin, we crucify him all over again. It's like,
it's mind-boggling.
Okay. You're like, okay. So I'm actually the one wrong. Does that mean that we're going to get it perfect, or you have to have it perfect every single second? No, there's grace for that. And he's going to teach you as you grow. Like, I'm not there. I just said a couple days ago, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm realizing this, in becoming love is what God wants us to do. And that's so key. Sure. It's so important. And man, I love that thought process and what that means. So it leads into this reality of there are people all over the planet that look different, that talk different, act different, that believe different, that hate, that love, that do literally the gamut of things. So how does that for you, how does being a Christian, realizing that I just want to be loved to the world around me, affect your thought process as you think about these people that are just different than you?
For me, the biggest thing is just listening and doing exactly what Jesus did, meeting them where they are. And just, there's a scripture that says, weep with those who weep, rejoice with those who rejoice, and all that. Like, that for me is just, all right, I'm gonna just sit and listen. And if God opens that door, or if I feel it and I know I can speak into this certain part, then I'm gonna do so. But if not, if anything, I'll just sit and listen. And if nothing else, if I was just a listening ear for that person, and through that they still feel love, I've done my job. I'm good. But because at least for me, I'm not joking, I probably have one of the broadest friend groups, like, out of anybody that I know. It's just like, and it's not just, and I'm not saying that to, oh, you're so popular, Quintin. It's like, no, I am very, I'm wholeheartedly awkward, like, most of the time. But but with that, like, I understand, like, there are some people who don't know how to break that little barrier or wall between certain people. And I'm really good with navigating that, just because me, like, I was bullied growing up. So it was like, I don't want anybody to feel excluded or left out, or anything. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's like I'm gonna make them feel love and feel included. And like, because there's certain times like I mean, I'm pretty sure you experienced this where like somebody in a friend group, it could be like 10 people, and I hate this when there's a bunch of people there, but they tell a joke and nobody laughs. And so for me, in my head, when that happens, I'm like, all right, do I just laugh at the joke? Am I the only person laughing? What do I do? It's like, I'm gonna just laugh. I don't want to make them feel like crap. And I'll laugh and we'll have a moment. And nobody else could feel anything. But for me, I'm like, I didn't even think the joke was funny, but I don't want you to feel small. So I got you back. But like that to me is like, if I can just be a listening ear and hear and just stay, stay in the lane of God speak to me. Cause again, like a lot of people, this is my thing too, with especially now in this society, this culture, a lot of people confuse love and acceptance. They think
Mm-hmm.
they're synonymous all the time.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like I can love you, but I don't accept your behavior. So if somebody is an alcoholic, yeah, I love you. Let's say my
Mm-hmm.
grandfather was an alcoholic. Like, yo, man, I love you, but that doesn't mean I approve of his behavior. Like, bro, we need to get you help. Because the thing is, if you
Yeah.
love them, you'll take them to rehab or do whatever. You'll pray fast, do the whole shebang, but you're not about to
Yeah.
just let them sit there and hurt themselves. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm a meet them where they're at. I hate that they're there. I don't want them there. Like I want to
Right.
get them out, but I just need to stay in this lane of okay, I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna listen to you, and hopefully you hear
Mm-hmm.
my heart and you see that I'm not here trying to change you because we can't change anybody. Only the Holy Spirit can. He
Yeah,
can
that's good.
change the heart. Like you can only the heart is God's job. We just honestly just have to plant the seed. I was like, all right, God,
Mm-hmm.
do your God thing, have fun, like only you can. But like,
Yeah.
so for me, it's just like me, it's just because there's so many people from all different types, whether they're like one of my closest friends, um, she's gay, like I remember she came out. She used to actually be in church, but she just got turned off from it because nobody
Mm-hmm.
helped her with what she was struggling with. And sadly, I mean that seen that. And I'm pretty sure you've seen it far too many times
Yeah.
where it's just
Yeah.
church hurt and it's like, come back. No, don't leave. Get back here.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like she she knows my view and perspective on things, but she'll still come. And I'm one of the only Christian people who she'll talk to because
Yeah.
she always tells me, she was like, you're a good listener. Like you don't make me feel judged. And even though you don't agree with what I'm doing, my lifestyle, whatever, like you still love me.
Yeah.
You'll still be able to listen to me. So for me, it's just,
Mm-hmm.
I guess like how I'm interacting with the world is just I just need to listen. I don't need to speak. But I just saw this quote the other day on Instagram. It was like the older you get, the more you understand that being silent is really wisdom. And a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
think, "Oh, you're weak because you're not saying it." It's like, no, sometimes I don't need to say anything.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I just need to sit here and listen and just okay. And if God gives me
Yeah.
something to say in that moment, or if I feel like if I feel it, cool. If not, that's fine. Like
Yeah.
I was talking to my mom earlier too. I was like, I'm so sorry for being such a hard-headed know-it-all when I was little. Like when I
Yeah.
tell you I was like I just thought I was right about this and that and I need to say everything. It was like
Yeah.
if I could go back in time and tell my younger self anything, it was like, bro, shut your mouth. Just for 5 minutes. Just stop talking. Because the thing was it wasn't that a lot of what I was saying was wrong, but it was just at the wrong time. Like you don't need to say
Mm-hmm.
anything. Just
Yeah.
sit. If anything, pray about it. But you
Yeah.
like younger Quentin was just quick to the lip. Like, no, man, just sit and listen. So for me, it's just now, it's just I just want to listen. And if I hear something, if the spirit says speak or do this or that, cool. If he does it,
Yeah.
I'm fine. But at the end of the day, I'm still listening. I'm still navigating and finding my way through this weird river of life. So I'm gonna just sit and listen,
Yeah.
and that's all.
I love that. I love that. And it's so key because you said a couple things in there is like inclusive. Like Christianity is literally the most inclusive
Man,
religion in the history of the world, yet somehow a
man.
lot of people see it as like the least inclusive, or or there's a group of people out there like, you can't be with us until you do these things. And it's just like, no, Jesus said, for everybody or anybody that decided to believe in me, they can come just as you are. You don't have to change a thing. It's literally the most inclusive religion in the world. And what we know is it's the only true religion in the world. It's the only true relationship in the world. And I love that, because a lot of people want to say, like you're saying, love and acceptance aren't the same thing, but loving somebody does not mean that I'm going to cut them down with truth. Like 100%. You're not sitting there every time your friend comes to talk to you about how you're saying, like, you could say, she knows where you stand. You don't have to reinforce yourself every single time you talk, 100%. Because she already knows where you stand. So it's like, why would I reinforce something that they already know? I'm going to love them where they're at, because that's what Jesus would do. Jesus called a tax collector, not after the tax collector stopped collecting taxes, while he was in his booth. Like, while he was in his booth. Like, who are we to say, no, you got to clean that up first, or you got to stop acting that way first, then we can. No, like, Jesus is calling out to people just as they are. He found me when I was a dirty, no good for nothing cheat. Like, I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to be as honest as possible. Man. I was your typical college bro. I was just an awful boyfriend. I was an awful person. It was bad. And that's where he found me at. And that's where he chose to call me from. He didn't wait till Cooper got his act together. He didn't wait until I, had kids and went, oh my gosh, what am I doing? He said, right there, right where you're at, this garbage human being that you are, in my opinion, he's like, I love you. Just come here. Just let me, I'll take care of this. Just come here, and that's what we need to do. And I love that that's your heart. It's like, listen and love. And when you're told to say something by the Spirit, then respond. Yes. Because like you said, the Spirit's the only one that's going to be bring change. And the Bible is the truth. We know that it's the truth. Jesus is 100%. The truth, actually. And the word is Jesus made flesh. But what people forget is it's as sharp as a double-edged sword, which means if we swing it around and cut people in half with truth, we're killing them. But it also divides between bone and marrow, which is like a surgeon's scalpel, which there's a difference. And I love to tell people this. It's like, if I have a knee injury and they need to go in and repair my ACL, and they take a sword to it, they're going to cut my leg off, and it's never going to heal appropriately. And it's going to hurt really bad. But if they go in there and they cut it, repair it, that cut's still going to hurt bad, but eventually it's going to heal and be better. So we have to understand how to use truth appropriately by listening to the Spirit. I love that, bro. I love that so much. That's so good. But man, I love it. And it sounds like that's something that you've really learned. Is there something else that you'd like to add to that? Like, that you've learned recently that's helped you to better understand what it means to be a believer and walk this life out?
Man, there's a lot. There's actually been a lot, like, in this past year and a half, that's just like, it's so simple, honestly, and it's so trippy, but like, for me, God's just been dealing with me a lot with just loving people and really understanding like how vast his love is. Like, I was just talking to my brother and my mom about it. Like you could live your life, because there's that guy who died on the cross next to Jesus and literally accepted and to paraphrase, like, he literally accepted Christ. God told him, "Oh no, you're going to be in heaven with me." And there's that other guy who was just talking off the lip, and he went to where he went to. But like, to think that you can go your entire life, but then in one moment, out of nowhere, you could really have a heart change. And God brings you in the fold. And like, for me, I'm just like, but God, like, how though? Because like, let's say this is where I was saying, I was talking about mom and my brother. Like, you could be like a Ted Bundy, like, just take one of the trippiest, craziest, worst people in the world. You could be that guy, go to jail, spend your whole life in jail, all of a sudden have a heart change. And God's like, welcome home. Like, to me,
Yeah.
that's insane. Like, because my thing is, like, in the process, you've hurt so many people. Like, you've destroyed families, destroyed lives. Like, you're probably in solitary confinement because they can't release you to the general population, because they're going to want to be like, no, this guy deserves death. Like, give him the death penalty. But then again, you rewind back to whatever, and Paul was essentially a Ted Bundy in lesser words.
Yeah.
Like, he was out here just killing people or having them killed. But then he had literally probably one of the biggest heart changes in the Bible, if not the biggest to me. And this man wrote, what, 2/3 of the New Testament?
Yeah.
Like, my thing is, like, if God can take somebody as low as that and say, they're gonna do this for me, it's like, all right, I don't have any room to really hate or say this person doesn't deserve this. And I think that's the other part for me. Like, there's love, but then there's also like grace, giving grace. Because me personally, like, I do not give grace. Like, anybody does me wrong, like you were saying, I'm like, yeah, get out of here. I'm not giving you a second chance, bro. You're tripping. You are done. But God's like, I could have left you where you were. And I'm like, yeah, but like, you're God. He's like, yeah, but I'm also calling you to the same level of holiness. I was like, fine. I guess I'll forgive them and give them the same grace. It was like my thing, because man, it's like we even have a choice to do that. It's like, no, you're gonna do it. You don't gotta like it, but you're gonna do it. It's like, for me, it's like, you got the love part, but then it's like the grace. So it's like, man, like, this person can do this, that, and blah, 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 blah to me, but I'm still called to forgive them and give that same extension of grace that God gave me. Because the thing is, if God really wanted to leave us where we were, he easily could have. He still can, but he won't, because he's a father whose love, like, to the human mind, like, it doesn't actually make sense. Like, to me, it did. Like, how can you love somebody like Paul, or like a Hitler, or like an Osama bin Laden? Like, how do you still see them as your child? I would totally disown them. Like, you just killed 2,000 people. You responsible for that? I don't know you, bro. I'm sorry. You ain't my kid.
Yeah.
But God's really like, no, I still love him. And the thing is too, like, God, like, a lot of people don't actually realize this, which I feel like they would, but Jesus died on the off chance that you would accept him, not on the guarantee.
Yeah.
Like, he died on the, well, this is a big maybe, but it's worth it. And like you're saying, like how you're saying, like, the podcast, like, even if it was just for one person, this whole human existence, even if it was one person, that's worth it to God. Now, thank God that there are way more and everything, but it's like, to him, like, for God to be able to love like that much and really send his son to die on the off chance, on a maybe that we would accept him. It's like, and then he's calling us that same level of love. Again, it is not easy to love people who've done you wrong or stabbed you in the back, and God's like, forgive them. Like, he's not saying you got to be friends with them again, but forgive them and love them with a godly love. It's like, bro, are you serious? And like, it's not easy at all. But for me, that is just like, he's been showing me like how to do that and how to give grace, and pointing people really in the scripture. Because like you said, like, the word is truth. So like, all I really need in this life is water, some Hawaiian rolls, and this book. I'm great. I'm good. But it's like, you go and look at these people. You look at David, who was just probably to say it nice, David was just a hoe. He was just out here just tripping. He was a college frat boy. Just, yeah, man, let's go to that place and do it. Let's just throw him back. It's like, no, you don't need to do anything. But it's like, you look at him and it's like, man, like, God really says David is a man after my own heart, even though he had somebody else's husband killed because he wanted his wife. Like, you had him killed. And like me, if I believe his name was Uriah. If I was Uriah and I got to heaven, I'm like, yo, God, hold on. You telling me this man about to come up here? He just had me killed.
Yeah.
I'm up here early because of him. And you, like that to me is a conversation I would love to see, like how that went between God and him. It was just like, dog, like I'm I'm hurting, but you're still calling me to love those people. But like you said, like it's a process. God will help you grow and walk in that. And it's not easy at all. But like for me, it's just like, wow, like God gives so much grace and
Yeah.
to you that he's telling you, he's commanding you, hey, give this to them. Because again, like you said, like every time we sin, we crucify Jesus over and over again. So it's like, I don't want the cat of nine tails going in his side again and ripping him to shreds. It's like, okay. So for me, it's just like understanding the love and grace that God gives. Like for me in this past year, it's just been like, all right, God, this isn't me. This is very hard, it's challenging, but I'm gonna do it because you commanded me to, and I'm gonna do it in faith. I may not feel like it, but I'm gonna take that step. And like as you take those steps, it'll get easier and easier. But yeah, man, it's
right.
I didn't mean to ramble, but that like for me, that's just like so. It's like the grace and love that God gives, like is so astronomical to me. Like you could be in a satanic cult, all of a sudden you have a heart change and you're on your deathbed or wherever, and you're like, God, I live my life for the world and not for you. Like I don't know if there's a chance for me to get in or if there's this, but I'm just sorry. Like I ask that you forgive me, and you truly mean it, and you repent and you cast all that off. Now you see Jesus face to face, and he's like, come on, come in here. I'm about to squeeze the life out of you. Like that to me is insane.
Yeah, it's so good, and it, like I said, like Jesus, obviously, when we're talking about like crucifying him all over again is more metaphorical than literal. Obviously, he died once and for all time. And I think it's in Hebrews where it says like when you choose sin instead of choosing God, you're doing it all over again, right?
Man.
But it's crazy to realize that and crazy to operate in that. And I just love the fact that we have this perspective of what it actually means to pursue God. And it's not this, how do I say this? It's not this list of rules and regulations. It's literally just love and learning to love, be like him. But man, that's so good. But hey, as we end this podcast together, I would love for you to just give us 2 minutes of encouragement. Maybe it can be about Jesus. It can be about something that is just on your heart. That's maybe more practical. I mean, Jesus is practical, but you know what I mean? But man, hit us with a 2-minute encouragement.
Yeah. Man. So I would say just wholeheartedly just love. Like I really can't, and it's so cliche to say, but really just live your life in love. Like, I mean, obviously God is with us, but like I the way I go about it is just, if Jesus was physically here with me right now, would I be doing this? And most of the time it's like, nope. Because he would just be looking at you, and he wouldn't be looking at you with like disdain or anger, but he just look at you and you'd feel the love and at the same time that correction or whatever it is that you're doing in that moment. It's like, just love on people, just give all, love all, really serve all, like pour into everybody. But also in that same thing, like make sure you rest and you're also taking time to be with God by yourself. Because even Jesus would peace out and dip when he needed to. Like there are a lot of stories in the Bible actually, or like where he goes to towns and he needs miracles and he's saying like, oh, don't tell anybody, or people are still going, and he just goes to the next town. It's like, no, Jesus literally had an assignment and he went wherever he needed to go and he handled his Father's business. And even doing that, he still had time to himself where he's like, okay, I need to rest. So I would just say, just make sure you just giving everything, love on everybody, love wholeheartedly. Like you should be like a big, like a boiler about to just explode. with love. Like, it
Yeah.
sounds trippy. I don't know how else to say it, but like, do that. But at the same time, also make sure, like, as you're pouring out, that you're taking time aside to be poured into, and for God to speak to you and pour out something fresh on you, and to just give you everything in due season at the proper time. So yeah, man, just stay grounded, and God will literally handle the rest. God will do what you can. You do what you can, God will do what you can.
I love that. Yep. That's definitely the motto. I appreciate your time, Q. And just to wrap that piece up, man, we don't love, period, except for when he loves us first. So it's just so key to, if you want to be that boiler about to explode with love, you got to be able to be loved by God. So don't be afraid to take a few plays off. Even, even the best players in the world in sports, if we're using a sports analogy, sometimes have to take some rest days to recover, to be their elite, man. I love it. I love you. I appreciate your time, man. Thanks for joining us this week,
love
man.
you, thank you
Love
so
you
much.
too, bro.
Before you go, I wanted to let you know about an opportunity to partner with me and my fiance as we are raising funds to build an orphanage called Grace House in India through an organization called Angel House. Anything you can give financially will go a long way and be greatly appreciated. The link is in the show notes. If you can't give financially, no problem. Please go and share the link with your friends and family on Facebook and cover the house in prayer. As always, thank you for listening to More Than Mondays. I hope this week's conversation encouraged, challenged, and shifted your perspective. Have a great week.